Peggle.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret64 is, of course, the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. I appreciate everyone for standing by while life events happened these past 2 weeks, so I appreciate just standing by. We're going to go over a bunch of news from the past 2 weeks, so it's probably going to be a bit of a longer episode. Let's go ahead and get it started off with what have I picked up this past week. Okay, first up, I've been actually waiting to get this one for a little bit. It's Last Faith on the Switch. It's the physical version was released like a year or so after the game came out. It's like a Bloodborne-inspired 2D pixel art Souls-like game, kind of like a Blasphemous in a couple ways. But I thought I might as well pick this up because it looked cool, but I wasn't willing to spend the money on the digital version of the game because I wanted this one physical. So we got the physical version of that. Next up is another. This one's kind of weird, I guess. I saw this on sale for $10 on VGP, I think the website is called. And I said, that's kind of weird. I have to pick this up. This is a 10th anniversary bundle for Bayonetta and Vanquished, which are, of course, Platinum games that were released before they got bought by Nintendo. I just thought this was such a goofy pack. These two games, I believe they're nothing alike, but, correct me if I'm wrong, of course. I believe Sega still owns the rights to both the original Bayonetta and Vanquished, so that's why they can put out this weird, bizarre mix of two games, but I felt like this is too weird to pass up. I don't know how I'm going to order it on my shelf because Bayonetta doesn't really. I guess it kind of shows up there. I guess I would put it in the B's for Bayonetta, but yeah, I just thought that it was kind of weird. More so interested in playing Vanquish because I already played the original Bayonetta, but there you go. Sometimes when I'm on eBay and I see like a really cheapo game, I go, well, might as well pick that up because it's only $3. And today's game was Jeep Thrills. This is a licensed by Jeep video game where you drive the latest and, dare I say, greatest vehicles from this era of Jeep, including, as you see right here, a concept vehicle that I believe was never released. But it looks like we have obviously, you have a Jeep Wrangler, a Jeep Compass. I'm sure there's plenty of other ones in there. You won't be seeing the Gladiator or the Renegade in here, but I thought this was kind of goofy, and it was only a couple bucks. And, Beetle Adventure Racing is pretty good, which is another, like, licensed game from a, like, Volkswagen. That was kind of good. I really enjoyed that when I was a kid. So maybe Jeep Thrills will also be kind of fun. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And finally, for the pickups this week, I've been planning on replaying this game for quite some time because when I originally played it, it glitched out on us and I got soft locked in the playthrough. So I abandoned it, which I didn't really want to abandon it because I do like this game. But that's Doom 3, and this is the BFG version for the Xbox 360. I wanted to pick this up on Xbox because I feel like it'll run better because it's actually designed for Xbox. It also came with the manual in there, which is always great. I'm one of those weird people who I don't mind this game. I think that the aesthetic is actually pretty good. I know it's not like a Doom game per se. It's much more horror-esque, but I thought I really wanted to give this another try. I'll give it a try on something that it's designed for instead of like a Windows 10 computer or whatever I tried it on last time I was playing. I wanted to give it a try and try and play it again. So you'll probably be seeing this soon on the channel. But that is it for our pickups this week. Let's shoot on over to what was announced at that game showcase. All right, first up is the state of play from this past week. We have two shows to go over, so I'm going to try and breeze through them. as quickly as I can. I know a lot of times the what was announced at that game showcase section takes up like 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to try and go a little bit faster because we do have a lot to talk about today. So the State of Play showcase, in general, I thought it was good. I was a bit mixed on it for a little while, but it did end on a good note, so I am happy about that. And it's not like there were bad things announced throughout the showcase either. So, but the first thing that I want to talk about is, of course, the big ending, which was they announced a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima called Ghost of Yotai, and this is coming out in 2025. Obviously, the trailer didn't show too much, but it's alluded to that you might be able to train like wolves or an animal in the game, and essentially it seems like you're also more of like a bounty hunter in this one, tracking down these these dudes in Yotai. So it doesn't seem like you're defending against like a overwhelming force of an enemy like in the first game. Seems like you're more so being like a bounty hunter sort of or whatever in this one. So the main thing that people are talking about this trailer is the fact that Jin is not in the game. He was the main character from Ghost of Tsushima, and he also was with the DLC expansion, which is Iki Island, right? And I don't mind them not using Jin again because his story really does conclude at the end of Iki Island. Back before I played that, I kind of wasn't sure about it, but going forward, I can tell you he's got a pretty decent ending in that. The ending of also the ending of the base game of Ghost of Tsushima would be kind of difficult to jump off of because there's a major choice that you make at the end. And I've talked about this before, but obviously when you do make a big choice at the end of a game, a lot of times the sequel is like, okay, well, if you chose one or the other, it's not really going to matter because we're just going to go a completely different direction. And that's, I guess, kind of what they did with this one. They went a completely different direction. Now you're playing as a different character. You're in a different area of Japan. You're a completely different, you have a completely different purpose, I guess you could say. Like Jin's purpose during Ghost of Tsushima was to, save Japan, essentially, fight back against the Mongols. It seems like in this game you're playing as this Ronin hunter or something like that, and I think they said that was like it takes place like at least 200 years after Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm pretty sure I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure you're like a descendant or something of Jin. So you still have like that breeze that you can call upon to tell you where to go. Obviously, you still have a mount and a horse, but it seems like things are expanded upon. The other thing that's pretty interesting is the character is holding two blades. So it seems like you'll be using like a two-blade tactic, or maybe you'll be able to switch between two blades and a single blade. There's also some sort of instrument on the back. Obviously, I'm not well versed in old school Japanese instruments, but it's a two-stringed, kind of like a banjo-looking thing, which I think I've seen a couple times before, so it's not super unfamiliar to me. But maybe that means that you'll be able to kind of pull that out and just kind of tinker around with it, or she'll like practice the thingamajig, the banjo thing. Maybe she'll practice that in times of like meditation and stuff like that, which would be kind of fun. So yeah, I mean, with this new direction for the series, I think it's gonna be pretty good. I know there's a couple people who really, really wanted Jin to come back, and I understand. And there's always room for spin-offs and stuff like that. I mean, Miles Morales got his own spin-off for the Spider-Man series. I don't see why we couldn't revisit Jin's story somewhere down the road. And Insomniac even said that they were open to... Was it Insomniac for this one? No, Sucker Punch. I'm sorry. Sucker Punch said that they were open to doing spin-offs and stuff where maybe Jin could come back, or we have some more characters. But I think the concept of Ghost has always been, you have those two different styles, sneaking around and in-your-face combat, and I think they're going to continue doing that with this game. I hope it's not like Rise of Ronin. I mean, dog bless Rise of Ronin, but that game is such a slog. I've had to take a break from it for so long because I get back to it and I'm just like, God damn, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So hopefully it's more like obviously this one's going to be more like Ghost of Tsushima, so hopefully it's a bit more entertaining, a bit more flowing. The story is a bit better than Rise of Ronin, because that just really lost me about the midway point. I just couldn't take it anymore, doing the same tasks over and over again. But I have high hopes for this. I'll definitely be getting this day one. It seems really good. I really like the presentation, the way that they showed it off. It looks like you're close to like Mount Fuji, so it's possible that there'll be maybe some climb or trek up Mount Fuji at some point. Maybe the final battle will take place like around the top. That'd be kind of cool. Something tells me that it's just gonna be a background set piece though, But I think it looks great. I like the direction that the game is going, and I think it'll be a really cool experience to experience. And I'm excited to see more about it. Of course, I want to see more like how the gameplay changed and all that stuff. Because really, the only thing about Ghost of Tsushima, the first Ghost of Tsushima, the only thing that always kind of bugged me was the fact that you can't really lock on to an enemy. And I don't know if they'll change that in this game. It's possible that they will, but I always felt like the auto lock on just really was, it worked most of the time, but there were some moments where it just would lock onto the wrong guy or the one that's right in front of me instead of the guy who's attacking me. It's just one of those things that I was a little bit hot or cold on it, but I still really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima and Iki Island. I thought that they were very well designed open world games that really kept the story flowing and the stuff flowing. It didn't and I also like that it didn't really stop you from doing anything in the open world prematurely. It allowed you to kind of explore and do whatever you wanted to do along with the story beats as well, which I don't like games that they give you this open world map and then they're like, well, you need the grappling hook to do this one thing that's all the way at the beginning of the map that you're starting nearby. So come back to that later. It's like, well, why can't I just do it now? Or maybe put that stuff after I get the grappling. I don't know. Lots of high hopes for this one. I hope that it will be good. I can't wait to see more about it. That's about that. It's official. The Horizon Zero Dawn remaster is coming out. The game is going to have a $10 upgrade path to the PS5 version if you already own the game on PS4, whether it be digitally or physically. I believe Horizon Zero Dawn did come to PlayStation Plus, so if you have PlayStation Plus, you should have the game. So there's a $10 upgrade fee for that as well. So this is coming on October 31st this year, and they already took measures to raise the price of the base game back to like a semi-normal price for the PS4, and I believe that is to stop people from like going and buying the $20 greatest hits version of the game and then upgrading to the $10 upgrade path to the remaster. You get like I think they only raised it to like $40, so it's only like a $10 gap there if you do upgrade to the new version of it. It is a bit weird that they're being such sticklers that they're going to raise the price of this greatest hits game just because they don't want people who are buying the game to just upgrade it would only have been a $10 difference if they had done that because they're selling the game for $40 and you get it for $20, then you upgrade for $10. Plus tax, that's less than $10 that they're losing from that. But I guess when you do pump so many resources into a remaster that really no one was asking for, more people are obviously. I think more people are going to go for the $10 upgrade than buying the game new outright. But yeah, that's that. It is just a weird thing that they did, but I understand why they did it. It's a disgusting business thing, corporate greed and all that. I don't think they really needed to do that because I'm pretty sure most people who had a PS4 either had it digitally or physically, so it doesn't even it's very weird. And a lot of people are playing through the game right now, whether it's because they want to play through Forbidden West or they just got their PlayStation 5 and they want to play through the games in the correct order and they're using like the backwards compatibility with the PS4. There's at least if you upgrade it, you can just continue off of your save. Also, trophy hunters rejoice because I do believe if you get the remastered version of the game, it automatically transfers over all the information from the original game, thus meaning that you unlock all the trophies in a matter of seconds. So trophy hunters out there, an easy $10 free upgrade for the game. Now I don't know if they're going to include like the DLC trophies as a part of the main game. A lot of times they don't do that, but you never know. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a remaster of this game coming out. I don't mind it there being a $10 upgrade path. I think that the new version of the game does look a little bit better. I mean, it's kind of like the what I was talking about last week or 2 weeks ago with the PlayStation Pro. The differences are going to be not as noticeable as they think they're going to be. Like, if you're just playing through the game, I don't think there's going to be anything too egregious. Like, obviously the new lighting effects, and they've updated the facial animations, which is actually something that I was hoping for, because the original game does have a bit, they used like some sort of like mapping system that doesn't look incredibly great when you're just doing open world conversations. And of course the lighting has all been updated as well. They also said that they added in a couple more hours of redone dialogue and some new scenes, I think, which is also, of course, a nice thing as well. So, yeah, I think that this is a nice remaster. I just don't think that it's one that we really needed per se. Same thing with like Until Dawn. It's like, well, at least, I guess it's not the same thing, but at least with this upgrade, we can have a $10 upgrade path. For whatever reason with Until Dawn, you just gotta fork over the money that they want for that game, which is just so bizarre to me. At least with this, you get an entire open world experience remastered for $10, whereas with Until Dawn, you get that game remastered, sure, or remade, but is it really that different? No. Same thing with this, though. It's not really that different, but at least it's only $10. That's my thoughts with that. All right, first off, the first thing that they showed off in the State of Play was Astrobot. They are working on, of course, some free updates for the game. The first one being a speed running pack. They're making 5 new online speed running levels based on the various levels that you play throughout the game. So they showed off one that was like a water world where you're using the ice elephant to make pathways. Another one with the rocket boost dog to get through a construction zone, which of course are pretty fun levels. There's another jungle level where you use the frog hands. There was another one that uses the monkey hands with the banana things. They're also including 10 new bots to save. Now I'm hoping that every single one of the bots are special bots, but I don't think that they're going to be all of them special bots, of course. But they are adding 10 more. They already confirmed there are 4 divers from Helldivers, and also Eve from Stellar Blade has also been confirmed to be in it as well, which, I think that those are 2 franchises that are new. Stellar Blade is new, but those are 2 pretty popular games right now. Stellar Blade didn't really get a lot of pomp and circumstance after it, like a month after it came out, but Helldivers still has a good, healthy player base, and I like that they are including Helldivers into the game along with Eve from Stellar Blade. So this update looks like it's going to be pretty good. This is coming in fall of 2024. So it probably won't be too long because we are technically already in fall, so I'm expecting it to come out sometime in October. The PlayStation Plus Essential games for October were also announced during the showcase. You got WWE 2K24, Dead Space, the remake, and Doki Doki Literature Club. For the October offerings for PlayStation Plus Essentials, this is pretty good. Of course, WWE, like, I'm not a huge WWE guy. I don't own this game, at least, but I'm not a huge WWE guy. But, it could be fun to mess around with it here or there. Dead Space Remake is amazing. It was on my top 10 games of last year. I thought that it was so incredibly well done. It is a perfect fit for the October theme. If you have not played the Dead Space Remake, definitely check it out if you have PlayStation Plus. And then Doki Doki Literature Club. At this point, everyone knows what Doki Doki is. That everyone knows what the twist is. But it is also another game that is fitting for the October month. And I do believe that, maybe this isn't, but it could be like the Doki Doki Plus version, which I think has a couple of extra things in there. The games will all be available to play on the 1st of October because that's the first Tuesday. So the 1st of October, if you want to check those out. The Last of Us Part 1 will be available with PlayStation Plus and Premium. So if you have not played The Last of Us Part 1, I guess you could call it a remake. That will be available on that service. I believe it's available for the extra, not just the premium, so extra tier as well. So that is nice of them to do, just in time for October. I would have liked to have seen them put The Last of Us Part 1 instead of WWE 2K in the Essentials group, but maybe that would have lost them a bit too much money there. In terms of, I guess I should have put this a little bit earlier, but the LEGO Horizon Adventures game had some more stuff shown off, or shit, as Lucy likes to say. I think that the game is looking pretty good. You know, it's not your normal LEGO game in a lot of ways. They say the A word a couple times. And it also looks a lot better than most LEGO games. They also showed off that there's going to be LEGO costumes for you to use. Sackboy's in there, Ratchet, and Rivet. I didn't see anyone else at this point, but I thought that was a pretty cool idea. They really capture the PlayStation aesthetic. I mean, could we see a LEGO Ratchet and Clank game in the future? I feel like Ratchet and Clank maybe is a bit better suited for LEGO games. So if you actually, those costumes, I apologize, those are only available with the digital deluxe edition of the game. If you pre-order the game, you unlock the Shield Weaver outfit for Aloy as a free pre-order bonus. The game is coming out on November 14th. Pre-orders will go live on October 3rd, if you want to check that out. But the trailer was pretty fun. You know, for a LEGO game, it looks really good. Like, there's a lot of LEGO games out there that don't really capture the LEGO aesthetic as much as I would like it to. And this is one of those games where everything is made of LEGO. I mean, maybe the Horizon the Horizon series was not the best fit for a LEGO game to start off with as a LEGO game, because, I mean, it's not like Aloy's a really quippy character in the games, and it's not like there's a lot of funny things going on. Like, sure, there's comedic moments here or there with your friends and stuff, but I would have probably rather have seen like a Ratchet and Clank LEGO game, simply because I feel like with the out of this world guns and imagery and stuff like that, they could have maybe done a bit of a better a better fit for it. But I don't mind this at all, and I think that's going to be pretty good. So if you want to check that out, that will be available on the 14th of November. Here are some things that they said here: roller coaster customization. So there's apparently a roller coaster in the area that you adventure into. 3 iconic Horizon outfits will be available, along with Ratchet and Rivet and Sackboy for the Digital Deluxe Edition. Don't forget that this is also coming to Switch. It's the first PlayStation game, I'm pretty sure, that is coming to Switch, which is pretty cool. So if you want to buy the Switch version simply for that fact, I don't blame you. But the PlayStation version is where I'm going to be. I will probably be pre-ordering this when it is available October 3rd. Let's see. There are some new DualSense controller colors and cover colors as well coming in winter. There are 3 new ones. What are they exactly called? Here we go. We got Chroma Pearl, Chroma Indigo, and Chroma Teal. So Chroma Pearl is like a purple-ish color, I would say. Or maybe that's the white one. I'm sorry. It's like a pure white one, and the controller is all white. Even the black strips on it are white. So it's pretty striking. Don't eat Cheetos while playing with that one. The Indigo is like a purplish color. There's still like the black hues and controller parts on the controller itself, so that one's not as changed as the Pearl one. And then Teal is kind of like a greenish, kind of emerald kind of looking one. They're very sharp looking controllers. They're going to be going for about $80, so it's a bit more than I was expecting. The covers for the console are only available for the slim models, and that's $65 for these covers. I just don't understand where they get off selling these covers for more than like $25. That's kind of ridiculous. The controllers, sure, you can charge full price for those because it's packed with all the ingredients that you need for the controller. Covers, though, pieces of plastic that you're seating onto your console, it's so ridiculous. But the Pearl and Indigo colors will launch on November 7th, and the Teal color will be on the 23rd of January. Speaking of controllers, there is a Fortnite-themed PS5 controller coming out for $85. The pre-orders will start on October 3rd on the PlayStation Now service, and the controller will be released on the 7th. It's a kind of like a cyan blue controller with some like spray paint stuff on there. So you have the banana guy spray painted on there. You have the fish dude spray painted on there, and it says Fortnite in the middle, kind of like in graffiti. There's a bunch of little other like Easter eggs, I guess, in there as well for various Fortnite characters. I don't think that this is the greatest looking controller ever, but if you have a Fortnite fan in the family, or if you're a Fortnite fan yourself, might be worth picking up a special Fortnite controller. Who knows? It might be worth $200 in the near future. No, I don't think they'll be axing this controller from the collection. Another event, another Monster Hunter Wilds trailer. As you know, I'm not like anticipating this game or anything like that. I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan. I played Monster Hunter, what was it, Worlds or something like that came out on PS4. I just wasn't really that into it. You know, it's just a personal preference type of thing. I think the game looks good if you're looking for a Monster Hunter experience, but as for me personally, I'm not really interested in this. But the game is coming February 28th. I don't know if I've already went over this before, but if you pre-order the game, you get the Guild Knight set and a Hope Charm for your talisman. There is a deluxe digital pack that includes layered armor and some extra like pieces for your head, like an eye patch and devil horns. You also get some special armor for your mount and your cat, some special gestures and hairstyles, some makeup and face paint, a pendant, sticker sets, and elf ears. Okay. Stellar Blade is getting some DLC in the vein of Nier Automata. So if you like Nier Automata and you love Stellar Blade, you can now combine them, essentially. They also reveal that the photo mode is coming, and there will be tons and tons of extra things for you to use inside of that as well, along with the full digital soundtrack, which is available to stream right now on Spotify. And of course, as I said before, the Nier Automata like skin pack. I believe it's DLC. It's coming soon. They didn't say if it was actually paid or what, but essentially you'll be able to wear an outfit that looks like B2 from Nier Automata. So if you want to check that out, that'll be available soon, probably later this month or next month. They also revealed the Lunar Remastered Collection. This is 2 classic JRPGs from the 90s coming to modern platforms. So the Lunar Remastered Collection includes Lunar Silver Star Story and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue in the remastered. So that's coming in spring of 2025. These games were originally released on the PS1. So there you go. Palworld, which we'll talk about later as well. Palworld is officially coming to the PS5. It's actually available right now. Essentially, it's Pokemon with guns, as you might say. The price is $30. So it took them a little bit extra longer to get the game onto PlayStation. There might have been a bit of a deal with Xbox to keep it exclusive for a couple months. I don't know exactly, but it's kind of funny that I'll talk about it later. I'll talk about it later. Don't spoil the surprise, although it's probably in the title. But Palworld is available now if you want to check it out on the PlayStation. So there you go. Another a duo of remasters is coming to the PlayStation. I believe other consoles as well, but it was revealed here. Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered is coming out in December. If you don't recall, a little while ago there was a Soul Reaver like statue that was labeled as Soul Reaver Remastered statue, and that kind of got the ball rolling on, and we were waiting for Legacy of Kain to Soul Reaver to be revealed as a remaster, but hey, we're getting both of the games, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. That's coming December 10th. No word on pricing yet, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be about $40, probably. I never have played these 2 games, but it would be interesting to play them because a lot of people really enjoy them, and I do have them on Steam. I think I bought them in a bundle, but I never played them because I I like to play games that are made for console on console. Although I don't know if this one was made for console. Actually, I'm not as well versed in this series as I would like to be. So maybe once this comes out, I'll check it out and we'll get versed. Dynasty Warriors Origin. This is coming in January of 2025 officially. This is another game in the Dynasty Warriors series. If you don't know what Dynasty Warriors is, essentially it's a pretty much bringing the smackdown on groups of easy enemies with a overpowered character, the game. I really enjoyed the Dynasty Warriors that I played all the way back in the Xbox 360 era. I think it was early Xbox 360 because I played the demo at a Kmart kiosk for the Xbox 360. I don't know which Dynasty Warriors it was, though. And I really enjoyed it, and I bought it, played it. I don't remember I don't remember which one it was, 5 or 4, I don't know. But I really enjoyed that. Haven't played one since. There's been a couple spin-offs here and there, but this might be the first one that I check out new games-wise. Because, a lot of these games are very similar, of course. So I don't know if you're missing out on too much if you haven't played the other 7 or so games, but this one looks pretty good, and I like the idea of just wailing on multiple enemies at once. I think that could be kind of fun. Space Marine 2 is kind of like that in a way, but not as bombastic, I suppose. Dragon's Age: The Veilguard had a trailer doing this as well. They also revealed that some choices from your playthrough of Dragon Age Inquisition will carry over in this game, which is kind of fun, I suppose. But the game does look pretty good. If you're a Dragon Age fan, I'm sure that this is going to be a highlight for you in this. Me personally, I'm not big on Dragon Age. Big shocker. The last one I played was Inquisition, which did win Game of the Year back in the day, but I personally just didn't really like the way that it played. This one might be a little bit more loosey-goosey with the combat. I don't know. After Baldur's Gate 3 came out, it does have a lot to live up to because I think that's what people are going to be comparing this game to because it is relatively similar, branching story, customization out the wazoo. So, yeah, if you want to check that out, the trailer is on PlayStation's YouTube channel, as are most of these. All right, big news for the horror survival genre fans. Dino Crisis is coming to the PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus Premium Classic catalog. It will be available also separately for probably about $10. They don't really reveal the price of those, but I'm sure it'll be about $10. So this is a $19.99 legendary survival horror game. People have been asking for a remaster of this game for some time. Of course, this originally released on the PS1. And it's kind of become a cult classic since then. So you'll be able to try this out on October 22nd. This will be an emulated version of the 32-bit game with save states and upscaling. I believe it'll also have the rewind feature, which I guess would be kind of nice for this game, saving bullets and stuff like that. But it's pretty much people have described it as Resident Evil X dinosaurs. And I never got to play it myself. I've been itching to play it, but the price tag on the game is so high that I just can't justify spending over $100 on a PS1 game. It's just not in my wheelhouse to do that. But it's pretty cool. We'll be able to check it out and play it. And I believe also Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain is also going to be available on the same day, which was the predecessor of Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, which is, of course, getting that remaster. So you'll be able to play the PS1 Legacy of Kain game in preparation for the Soul Reaver remasters. Pretty nice. All right, a game called Hell Is Us was revealed at the State of Play as well. This game takes place in like a post-apocalyptic world where some sort of virus turns people into sci-fi horror monstrosities. And essentially you play as like this dude who kind of looks like the guy from Watch Dogs, in all honesty. But this dude who is just trying to track down various people. I believe he gets like contracts to kill certain people just to put them out of their misery, I suppose. It's hard to really say what the game is going to specifically be about, but it looks like you have some sort of abilities to manipulate weapons and stuff like that and take down these creatures. Maybe the virus affected you differently. You get all these abilities from that. But Hell Is Us, that's coming in 2025 to the PlayStation 5. Fear the Spotlight. This is a PS1-esque horror game where the idea is pretty simple. You stay away from the spotlight, I suppose. But this is a game coming from Blumhouse, which I believe they showed off this game back during Summer Games Fest, and I thought that looks pretty good. And this little gameplay trailer also looks pretty good too. I'm a sucker for the old school graphics on a newer console, like PS1 aesthetic and Sega Dreamcast aesthetic on newer hardware. I'm a pretty big fan of that, and this one does check that box for me. It'll be coming out on the 22nd of October. I think the trailer looks pretty good, pretty intense. It also has a goth chick on the front of the cover, so that's hitting the check mark there as well. Yeah, essentially it's like a stealth puzzle game where you try and stay away from the enemy, and it's in like a PS1 aesthetic. I think it looks pretty good, so check that out if you want to. A game called Arc Age Chronicles, which is, I guess, a sequel to another game called Arc Age. This is an MMO. It's coming in 2025. It looks like you play in like a medieval setting, and you have some magic abilities, of course. Being an MMO, you'll be able to team up with other people to take down big otherworldly bosses and do various things. I'm sure there's plenty of different classes for you to choose and play with. Coming in 2025. More details by XL Games on the PlayStation blog. There you go. Sonic X Shadows Generations is going to be getting some DLC post-launch that adds Keanu Reeves as the voice of Shadow, which I guess is kind of cute. It sucks that it's not free DLC, but, I mean, what you going to do? They probably had to pay Keanu Reeves a lot of money. This will be available on the 12th of December, which is actually before the film comes out, which is kind of funny. But if you buy the digital deluxe edition of the game, it will be along with that. So if you want to pay the extra price tag for a digital deluxe, you'll also be getting this for free. I mean, I guess free. But if you want to buy it separately, it will be available separately as well. A JRPG called Fantasian Neo Dimension is coming in late 2024 on the 5th of December. It's an RPG spearheaded by Hironobu Sakaguchi himself, who first released this game on Apple Arcade. All right, so I guess the game is finally coming around to modern platforms. But I guess mobile phones are technically modern platforms as well. If you want a mobile game experience JRPG, it does look like a mobile game JRPG. But it probably has its people who want to play this. I'm not going to poo-poo you for that. Another game coming from the people who were behind Lost in Random, who are putting out like a Hades-inspired version of that game this year as well. They revealed a game called The Midnight Walk, which is going to be coming to PS5 and PSVR 2, which is kind of cool, in spring of 2025. This game is made entirely from claymation, clay-crafted characters, which is pretty crazy. Now, that Harold Halibut game also tried to do this as well. I don't think it was very effective. This game definitely looks a lot more effective in terms of the claymation style. Essentially, you play as like this little pot of fire, and you use fire to defeat monsters in the darkness or whatever they're doing. I think the game looks pretty good. I did really enjoy Lost in Random. It was in the top 15 of that year that it came out. I probably would have made the top 10 if I moved some things around, but I think this is going to be a pretty cool experience. It looks like it's using a lot of that Tim Burton style that from Lost in Random. It's kind of still being translated here. I think it looks pretty good. So if you want to check that out, that's coming in spring of 2025. And finally, TMNT Shredder's Revenge is getting 2 more characters in the Radical Reptiles DLC. This DLC will include 2 new characters named Mona Lisa and Mondo Gecko. And the trailer, of course, showed them off. They were pretty groovy, cool kind of characters. The one guy has like a skateboard. The girl has like like a twirling attack. I'm not sure how to really describe it. Looks like it's going to be a pretty good DLC. In addition to the DLC, Shredder's Revenge will get a free update as well, including a remix of the soundtrack with new tracks from various guest artists like Sean Bialo, Anna Managuchi, Button Masher, Jake Kaufman, Keiji Yamagishi, and Tomoya Tomita. If you want to check that out, that'll be available, I believe, soon. Oh, no, today. Available now. All right, available now. And that would be it for the state of play for what I mean, look, I'm not going to say that it was my favorite thing ever, but I'm also not going to say that it was terrible. It lost me a little bit there in the middle just for things that were not too interesting. It started off really fun with Astrobot, and it had that Hell Is Us and the that game I was just talking about with the claymation style. And then it kind of, was like, okay, whatever. And then at the end, towards the end, it was like, okay, and here's the Horizon Zero Dawn Lego game and the remaster, and boom, they smack you with the Ghosts of Yokai game, which is very interesting looking. So in the end, probably giving like a B. I think it was, I think it started off really strong, ended really strong, had some things in the middle that I was interested in. But it kind of lost me in the middle for a little bit, but it came back around. So I'm not going to complain too much. But that is that. What did I say? This section always lasts, for whatever reason, lasts way longer than I want it to. We're going to quickly go over what was announced at the Xbox Tokyo Games Showcase. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but let's get started. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater had a new trailer. It looks fantastic. I'll probably be picking this up day one now at this point. Now, I know that I wasn't like a huge fan of how Metal Gear Solid 3 played when I originally played it on the Xbox 360 on stream. It could have also been that I just wasn't in the mood for a stealth action game. Who knows? But this is looking pretty good. Overwatch is teaming up with My Hero Academia for some skins, for some in-game skins for the characters, so that's kind of cool if you're a fan of that anime. Age of Mythology Retold is adding in the Immortal Pillars, which is a Chinese-based legend, so you'll be able to play with Chinese mythology type characters, which is kind of cool. StarCraft Remastered and StarCraft 2 Campaign Collection are coming to PC Game Pass later this year, which is pretty cool. Phil Spencer said, "Greetings, Commanders. We're so excited that Game Pass members will soon be able to join us in the Korpulu sector. While the entirety of the original StarCraft and StarCraft 2 multiplayer components are free to play, we are delighted to say that StarCraft Remastered and StarCraft 2 Campaign Collection will be available on November 5th on Xbox Game Pass for PC." So there you go. Indiana Jones also had a short trailer. I'm not going to say that it was a great trailer because it really just showed off everything that we already knew about, but obviously this was more geared towards the Tokyo audience, so I kind of had a few different thrills here and there, I guess, but the game looks fine, or it looks good, I should say. It looks good. I am excited to play it. Once again, that's coming around in December for Xbox and next year for PlayStation. A game called Tanuki Pond's Summer. You play as a little Tanuki cartoony kind of character. It looks like it's a slice of life thing. The little Tanuki guy is like delivering packages in the game itself, but he's also like fishing and managing like a store or something like that. But it looks like mostly you'll be delivering packages to people. There's also a photo mode apparently as well. It's a cute little game. I like the art aesthetic of the trailer's animated sections. Those look really fun. The game itself looks a bit rough around the edges, I will say, but it might be kind of fun. Being a little package delivering Tanuki. Threads of Time is a Xbox JRPG, kind of in the same vein as Chrono Trigger, I guess, or what was that one from last year? Sea of Stars. So it's a pixel art adventure where you're just kind of like traveling across the land. It has a bit of a sci-fi kind of aesthetic to it as well, flying ships and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess it's a little bit different from Sea of Stars, I suppose. You can wishlist that now. It's going to be available on Xbox and PC probably next year at this point. Fragpunk got a trailer, which is like the I think it's going to be like a free-to-play first-person competitive shooter. I mean, what do you want me to say about this? It's a first-person shooter. Wow. It's got some graffiti aesthetics to it. Wow. There you go. Metaphor di Fantizo. They reveal that there is a demo available to play right now, and you can also pre-order the game as well. This is looking pretty good. I'm not going to probably pick it up myself because I'm not a huge Persona fan, and it is a bit similar to Persona I see. But I think it looks good. If you're a fan of this kind of game, I think you're going to be really happy with that. Atelier Umaya, the Alchemist of Memories, and the Envisioned Land also had a trailer. Don't make me say that name again, for the love of God. It looks fine. It's an anime kind of game. Big booby main character. What more could you want there? Asura Zhang Rumble. This is like I guess it's like an MMO kind of game where you play in like mech suits or something like that. It's like a top-down MMO kind of thing. I guess it's not mech suits. You're on your own. But it looks like one character does have a mech suit, so I apologize. But yeah, essentially you're doing like lanes and stuff like that, I suppose. So new one of those kind of games. Bleach: Rebirth of Souls got a trailer. There wasn't really anything revealed in this. I mean, as you already probably know, it's a third-person like action game. I'm wondering if it's going to be anything like Fury, because that would be kind of cool. But if you like Bleach anime, it does share that some very similar qualities to that. So there you go. Here's a mech game. Sin Duality Echo of Ada. It kind of looks like Titanfall almost, but the mechs are a bit more rotund than I was thinking. But yeah, essentially you play. It's like a mech fighting game. It's coming out January 24th if you want to check that out. They also revealed, and obviously this is for all of Fallout 76, but pets. There's a pet update coming to Fallout 76 where you can actually keep pets in your house or whatever you want to call it. Cats, dogs, etc. So that's pretty fun. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster Gate Rune and Dunan Unification Wars was shown off. It's a 2D sprite remaster, so I mean, the sprite games always look kind of good, but they updated some things about the game, I suppose. Slitherhead from Bokeh Studios got a trailer here. I mean, the game's looking pretty good. It's a very interesting concept, I would say. Pre-orders will be available. I believe they're available soon, or either soon or right now, if you want to check that out. The gameplay looks pretty interesting. You play as it's like a third-person aesthetic. You hit the enemy and then you use their blood as like a weapon or something like that. Kind of interesting. Another mech game, the Starbites, was revealed. This is like a turn-based RPG mech game, so a little bit different than the other one that we were talking about. It's got that kind of anime aesthetic. You play as like this girl and you walk around like a hub area and then you go out and battle. So yeah, kind of looks interesting, I suppose. Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake also had a new trailer. Nothing really new here that you probably didn't know about, but that's available to watch. Square Enix is also bringing the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster over to Xbox. Actually, today, they're available now, so you can play the Pixel Remaster on Xbox now. It's already been available for other consoles for a little bit, but now you can play it on Xbox. Also, Legend of Mana is coming to Game Pass, along with Trials of Mana as well, if you want to play those games. And then they also revealed 6 games coming to Xbox Game Pass. We already talked about StarCraft, but they revealed that We Love Katamari Reroll and Royal Riviere is available right now to play on Xbox Game Pass. If you have not played this game and you have Game Pass, do that. It's a goated game. I loved this one so much. It was so good. They also talked about All You Need Is Help, which I tried playing, but you actually need 4 people to play, and I don't have 4 people to play with. And I believe there's no online, which is very bizarre. But those are the 2 games, those are the 2 games that they revealed that I did not talk about. So there you go. All in all, I'm not going to rate this one because I will get in big trouble, and I don't want to get in big trouble because I like what I do, and I don't want to be in big trouble, okay? Let's move on to what's in the news. Okay, the big news today, or from this past 2 weeks, is that Palworld has officially been sued by Nintendo. There has been a lawsuit filed by Nintendo of Japan against Palworld. And of course, it was right on the eve of the State of Play where they were going to reveal that the game was coming to PlayStation. So a bit bittersweet right there. So it's funny that Nintendo chose now to continue with legal proceedings, but I think we all kind of saw this coming. Obviously, none of this is in English, so yeah, it has to be translated. But They apologized to everyone in Japan who was looking forward to Palworld, but for right now, the PS5 version of the game will not be available in Japan, only in the US and I believe Europe as well. So if you're in Japan and you wanted to play this game, it's been put on hold indefinitely because of the lawsuit. Now, back when this originally came out, I did say, yes, these designs are very similar. There might have been some AI usage. I believe that's been debunked by now. I want to put that out there. But this is a unique game. It's an open world crafting game. You use spheres to collect the Pokemon, then you use them to work for you or battle. It is an original game. It's just maybe some of the characters look a little bit too close to Pokemon. Maybe this concept is a bit too much like Pokemon. But that's the thing. Can Pokemon really trademark throwing a ball to catch a monster and then using it for battle? If that's the case, then this lawsuit is going to really determine a lot of things going forward. The concept of catching something in a ball and using that creature. Obviously, Palworld is heavily inspired by Pokemon, as was what was that card-based one where you capture the monsters in cards? That one actually had a long life. It actually is still available now. They never had any legal trouble with that game, from what I remember. I'll probably remember the name of the game after post editing this, but there was no problem with that one. And it might be because they were using cards instead of balls. I don't know, but the rest of the game was that game that I can't remember the name of right now was much more closely related to Pokemon than Palworld. So it's kind of crazy that that game got off without a hitch. I'm gonna look it up because I hate saying that game. What was it called? Temtem. So yeah, Temtem was way more closely related to Pokemon, and they're fine. Their game got a full release. It's been released on every single platform, even Switch. So it's very strange that this game is getting sued, but that game was just fine. And maybe it is the simple fact that they're using balls. I don't know. But the developer did respond to the Nintendo lawsuit, saying, yesterday a lawsuit was filed against our company for patent infringement. We have received a notice that this lawsuit will begin the appropriate legal proceedings and investigations into the claims of patent infringement. At this moment, we are unaware of the specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details. Pocket Pair is a small indie game company based in Tokyo. Our goal as a company has always been to create fun games. We will continue to pursue this goal because we know that our game brings joy to millions of gamers around the world. Palworld was a surprise success this year, both for gamers and for us. We are blown away by the amazing response to the game and have been working hard to make it even better for our fans. It is truly unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to this lawsuit. However, we will do our best. We will do our utmost for our fans and ensure that indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas. So, I think that's a pretty good statement. It will be interesting to figure out what exactly they're being sued for, like what part of the game is infringement. Maybe they'll show like a picture of a Electabuzz or something like that, and show the Pokemon that looks like Electabuzz, and be like, "Look, see." So maybe they'll just need to tweak some character designs to skirt by the lawsuit, or, like I said before, it might be because you're throwing balls at a monster. I don't know. I just feel like the concept of throwing something at a monster and capturing it, I don't know if Pokemon should truly own that concept, but whatever. So I will wait for more information on that. In other news, though, Pokemon did win a lawsuit against a Chinese mobile game developer. Now, this one's more so apples to apples here. They won $15 million in damages from Pocket Monster Reissue, which was a mobile game, I guess, that was released in China that was banking around $42 million a year. So essentially, this game does use assets and characters completely ripped off from Pokemon. So Charmander, Squirtle, Ash Ketchum, Professor Oak, Pikachu, all the different generation of grass Pokemon were in there as well. This game was originally released in 2015. So, they were making bank for quite a while before the Pokemon Company started to seek damages. So, they had to take the game offline, of course. And this one is an open and shut case. This was definitely blatantly plagiarized from Pokemon. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this one. Palworld and Temtem, there's a discussion there, but it mostly leads to it's not ripping off or reusing assets. This is literally an asset flip. They're using sprites and characters from Pokemon, the anime, and the games. And I'm surprised it did take them this long, but it might be because... I mean, yeah, I don't want to say specific. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to even try and think about it. So, that game has been taken down, and they are getting some money from them, but obviously it's not the entire sum of what they earned. But it's a pretty good chunk. Pretty good chunk. Okay, moving on. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed until next year. It'll now release in February, and that does mean that the collector's editions and stuff like that have also been pushed back as well. They actually pulled the game out of the Tokyo Game Show at the very last minute, and people were wondering, why did this happen? Is it because people are angry about the game? Is it because the game is not doing well in terms of like response in Japan or something like that? The game was really supposed to release on November 15th, so you would think that they would want to show it off, but I guess the true reason is because of the game was delayed into next year, and maybe they don't want to show it off now because, as people pointed out, there's a lot of things that are kind of just historically incorrect about the game. Various buildings, various banners, stuff that we've already talked about, but they did point out there's a lot of things that are just a little bit wrong, anachronistic, as they say, to have some things in there, like certain building designs or weapons and stuff like that. So it looks like they need to go back to the drawing board and maybe do a little bit more research on the time period, which is kind of funny because you would think that they've gotten this far in development and no one said, those buildings look like buildings from feudal China, not Japan. You would think that they would fix that pretty quickly, but yeah, I guess they just, I don't know about that. I don't know. But in the statement, they said, "Dear players, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan with many features developed with our community in mind, such as parkour or the renewed stealth, brought by new technology, all set in a beautiful and immersive world. This is an ambitious addition to our franchise, a rich experience that can be lived through the eyes of two unique protagonists. But we realize we need more time to polish and refine the experience, pushing further some of our key features. As such, we've made the decision to postpone the release date to February 14th, 2025. The game will release on a broad range of platforms, including Steam at launch. Additionally, pre-orders will be refunded, and all future pre-orders will be granted the first expansion for free," which is pretty nice. "We understand this decision will come as disappointing news, especially to those who've been waiting patiently for Assassin's Creed game inspired by feudal Japan. But we sincerely believe that this is the best interest of the game and ultimately the experience of the player. Rest assured, we are looking forward to the moment you will embark on a memorable adventure with Naue and Yasuke. Until then, we thank you for the ongoing support." So yeah, it seems like they essentially had to do a bit of a, I don't know if it's a 180, but they had to essentially finally listen to the feedback of the people who actually had things to say that were constructive criticism, things that weren't just like, oh, we shouldn't have a female character or a black character in this game. Like, I don't push that away for right now. I think the main thing that they needed to work on with this game throughout the various reveals, even though the gameplay has looked good and the character and animations have looked fine, there are some things that definitely needed touched up on. And I was recently brought to light that there was a lot of just incorrect things about feudal Japan in the game, and if you're basing a game in feudal Japan, it needs to be at least accurate to the Japanese culture from that time. So if the buildings were Chinese instead of Japanese, that's a big oopsie. If there were banners in there that were reenactment group banners, you gotta change those out. If the character, I felt like some of the character animations that Yasuke was talking to in the game were just a little bit just stiff. So I feel like they could go back and smooth some of that stuff out. And they're giving themselves I don't know, a couple months here to really fine tune the game and the experience. So I really do hope that when it does come out, it is at the top of its game and it's a very good game. But obviously taking some time to take a step back, get some things changed, maybe rework some things, I'm never going to say no to that. So we will see how the game looks when they decide to do another video about it or whatever. And the game will now be coming out February 14th, which means that February is now one of the most stacked months for gaming next year. The Last of Us Season 2 had a trailer that's coming in 2025. The show is coming in 2025. They also showed off some posters, I guess, and artwork for the game. They all look very inspired by the Last of Us aesthetic, so it's not like it's completely off the wall. The trailer itself was a 2-minute jaunt through the early, I guess I would say the early times of the show. Once again, I don't know exactly how they're going to deal with the time shifts in, from the game in the show. I feel like they're going to keep it more consistent with events happening boom 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 one after the other, instead of having the story mixed up, which is really my big criticism for The Last of Us Part 2, is just like the story structure. Just put the stuff in order. We don't need the flashback and flash forward. I feel like if they had just done Joel and Ellie coming back from their big journey, going through that zoo or whatever, showing, Abby finding her dad dead, like at the beginning of the game, and then building towards what happened in Last of Us Part 2. I feel like that would have just been a better story structure in general, and that's really my only thing that I have to say about Last of Us Part 2 that's super negative. Other than that, I really love the game, and I think the show could essentially fix that issue that I had with the game by just putting the events in order. Now, of course, with the actress playing Ellie, she's not going to age as much as Ellie did in the game, so she's a little bit younger than you expect her to be, but I think it'll work out in the end. I'm sure the writing was great in the first season, so I don't foresee any issues happening there. And I'm just hoping that they're going to make it just as brutal and gripping as The Last of Us Part 2, the video game, did. So we will see how that goes. But that is Season 2 is coming in 2025 on Max, of course. And the original show, obviously, is very good. So check that out if you want to. Check it out. All right, we have some more Concord news. The director of the game stepped down this past week, and it looks like staff are a little bit worried that they're going to be let go as well, which means that they took the game down and it might not be coming back. It seemed like when I talked about this before, where they closed down Concord, it seemed like possibly the game is going to get retooled and come back as like a free-to-play shooter or something of that same kind. But the creative director is leaving the studio, and it seems like people could be being let go from the company. It's quite possible that they're just going to leave this game on the floor and not pick it back up. I mean, that's a big loss, though. It's been rumored that the game actually did cost $400 million to make. It was a 8-year-long, $400 million project, which is kind of crazy. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt, because I mean, I was joking last week when I was like $800 million game. I was actually pretty close to the rumored 400 million, which is actually pretty crazy. They claim that Firewalk Studios spent around $200 million the last year prior to the Sony acquisition of the developer, and then the title was going to be funded by PlayStation. So PlayStation probably funneled in the extra $200 million. So there you go. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this game. And obviously right now, Concord, like the physical discs are selling for like hundreds of dollars. The controller is selling for like $260 some on eBay. Posters for the game, key artwork that they put up in stores is all going for huge prices on eBay. I don't know if this game will ever be pulled back and reduced in price, but then again, I don't know if this game is going to really sell that well on the secondhand market anyway, because it doesn't work. It's essentially a non-functioning disc at this point. So I guess we'll see. But as of right now, Concord doesn't look good for it. This might be the nail in the coffin with the director leaving and people possibly getting let go from the company. Then again, they could just be refreshing, retooling, adding different talent in. Who knows? But There's a really good video that I watched not too long ago about Concord. So the video is by Nerd Slayer Studios, Death of a Game Concord. I thought that he had a really nice video. It's almost an hour long kind of video, but it was really nice. It just goes through all the events of the game up until release and then post-release, reception of the game, stuff like that. Lots of good stuff in there. I would recommend checking that video out if you're curious. Also in the Concord line of things, TimeSplitters 2 and TimeSplitters Future Perfect both sold better than Concord. If you don't recall, they recently brought the entire trilogy of TimeSplitters games over to PlayStation, which I'll talk about TimeSplitters 2 in the next section. Yeah, I mean, that's actually pretty crazy that both those games outsold a first-party PlayStation game. Pretty crazy indeed. So I guess that goes to show how low the sales actually were for Concord. All right, let's shift gears. Battlefield is coming back, and they're going with a kind of like a modern aesthetic this time around. Once again, we've been in the future, we've been way in the past, we've been kind of in the past. Now we're back to the modern Battlefield experience, which is nice. I have been yearning for a modern Battlefield shooter, and of course that's when the game was at its best with Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 and 4. That was when the game was really shining at its best. Like, even though I liked Battlefield 1 and I had some fun with 2042. The modern aesthetic, the modern games are always kind of where my heart's been at for the Battlefield games. That's what I kind of grew up on, essentially, with first-person shooters. They actually put out some key artwork for the game, and people tracked down where it is, where this is. So people are 80% certain that the little bit of key art that they showed off for Battlefield was Gibraltar. They marked buildings that were the same and views and vistas that were the same. So I guess that's going to be one of the locations that you're going to be battling at is Gibraltar, which also was featured in the Battlefield 2142. So this could be, this could just be like an homage to that, or they totally forgot that Battlefield 2142 had a Gibraltar map, and this is just like, yeah, that we totally meant to do that kind of moment. Yeah, I think that this is going to be I do want to see more about the game, of course, but hopefully it'll be a nice return to form for Battlefield. All right, let's go ahead and move on to what's coming soon. Okay, Helldivers 2 is getting a big update for the PS5 and PC, and this will be coming around now. It's actually already available now. So the patch is patch 1.001.100, and this was part of the 60-day deadline that they put on themselves to address concerns and problems with the game. Essentially, they've balanced weapons, stratagems, armor penetration, and difficulty across the board. They also added in some additions to the Galactic War map. There's a new emote wheel. There's also a bunch of bugs that they patched as well. There's a 30-minute video where the two heads of the studio talk about what exactly they did for this patch and the workings of the patch. So if you want to check that out, that's available on Arrowhead Game Studios' YouTube channel. One of the big things was that thermites only take 1 or 2 shots to kill a Titan now. It used to take 7 hits, so it is actually an anti-tank grenade now. They also revealed that the next war bond is chemical agents, which will be dropping, which dropped the same day as the patch. So that includes a bunch of like poison stuff, I'm pretty sure. It includes some new stratagems, 2 new armor sets, some new patterns or skins for your various things, some new utility items, new emotes, capes, and a new player title as well. So if you want to check that out, that's all available right now. The 30th anniversary PlayStation Pro and PlayStation Slim accessories will be going on sale soon. There is a PlayStation Portal and 2 different DualShock controllers. One's the Pro version, one's the regular version. That also will be having the 30th anniversary skin to them. So if you want to purchase this, you have to go to that PlayStation Direct thingamajiggy. The pricing is about what you expect for this kind of stuff. The aesthetic is very nice. You know, the gray aesthetic for the PlayStation, the original PS1 logo on them. It's all very nice. The buttons are also tuned to the PS1 controller as well. So there's going to be a limit of 12,300 PS5 Pro bundles. So that's not a lot of console units, and people are already on eBay trying to... I'm not sure exactly how to describe it. They're putting up an eBay listing for the console or for a controller or for the PS Portal saying reserve a scalped copy of, you know, whatever, which is like very interesting. They're already trying to sell these things for large sums of money. I think the PlayStation Pro console was put up on there for like $2,000, which is pretty crazy. There's also the PS5 Digital Edition bundle, the DualSense Edge controller, DualSense controller, and the PlayStation Portal controller. There's also some pins for that as well, along with a cable that kind of looks like a PS1 cable that plugs into your controller for charging, which is kind of cute. All these will be available to pre-order from PlayStation Direct on the 26th of September. Definitely make sure that you jump on it quickly, because it seems like there's a limited number and people are already claiming that they're going to scalp the shit out of it. The boxes they come in are really cute too. They look like PS1 boxes. Oh my gosh. Now might be the time to buy a PS Portal or a controller. I might try to get a controller. Definitely not going to try and get a console. I don't need a console, but maybe a controller. But that'll be a big if, because it seems like these things are going to sell out right away. They'll probably do waves again like they've done before, but I'm not getting my hopes up at all. Like a Dragon in Hawaii is going pirate. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is coming in February. This looks like another bizarre and crazy addition to the Like a Dragon / Yakuza series. Essentially, you play as a pirate version of the Yakuza characters, and you build a crew, and you seemingly sail the seven seas. The combat looks relatively similar to what you expect from a Yakuza game, Like a Dragon game, I suppose, where it's like a turn-based type thing. It seems kind of weird because it's like a mishmash of like modern and pirate aesthetics, so I'm wondering if there's like some sort of like time hole or time breach or something like that. I'm not sure. But it does look very good. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I did not get around to finishing that. I'll probably pick that back up. Hopefully I'll be able to play some more before the end of the year. But this also looks very crazy, very cool. If you want to check out the trailer for that, it's on Sega's YouTube channel. The Power Wash Simulator Shrek DLC, we got a nice look at what we are going to be getting in the DLC. So Shrek Swamp, of course, you'll restore Shrek Swamp to its normal swampy glory. You'll be getting glittery goop off of the various Shrek Swamp pieces. You'll also be cleaning Duloc. So you'll be cleaning like the puppets and the toys and the whole area of Duloc, that like middle section of Duloc, which is pretty cool. The Fairy Godmother Potion Factory from Shrek 2, you'll be able to clean inside of there. The Dragon's Lair, you'll be cleaning the various gold inside of Dragon's Lair. Hansel's Honeymoon Hideaway is a candy-coated cottage that has seen better days. So this is kind of based off of like, Shrek and Fiona had like that little montage at the end of Shrek. I believe they stopped at this getaway thing for like a gag or something like that. But you clean the just married buggy, and there's like a cottage and a sign to clean as well. So it seems exactly like what I expected, Duloc and stuff like that. But Fairy Godmother's Potion Factory is a nice surprise. So this will all be available on October 10th if you want to check that out. And as a reminder, you do get the armor set that looks like the armor from Shrek, which is also pretty fun as well. So there you go. THQ Nordic announced that the remastered version of Darksiders 2, the definitive version of the remastered version of the game, will be coming to PS5 and other modern consoles. If you don't know, Darksiders 2 got the Definitive Edition on the PlayStation 4 back in like 2015. The original game came out in 2012 on PS3. So now we're getting the Definitive Edition on PS4, which I don't know if they're doing anything different for the Definitive Edition on PS4. I don't think they're really updating anything at all. But you will be able to play the game natively on PS5, which I guess is kind of nice. And this is coming October 15th, if you want to check that out. A game called Freedom Wars Remastered is coming to various platforms from Bandai Namco. I guess Freedom Wars this is its 10th anniversary of the game, so it's getting an HD remaster. This was a PS Vita game, action RPG, so now it's being ported and remastered for the PS4 and PS5. This is coming January 10th, 2025. This will include all previously released DLC. Freedom Wars Remastered will boast vastly improved visuals supporting 4K resolution and 60 FPS. Yeah, they showed off a comparison of the game, and it definitely looks a lot better on modern consoles. I don't think that was up for any debate. If you want to know what this game is, it takes place in the year 102,014. The surface is no longer capable of supporting life. Humanity lives underground in vast cities called panopticons. Under a fascist system of government, each citizen is required to contribute, and due to overpopulation, punishments are applied to virtually every infraction. So I guess that's like a dystopian future. Yeah, definitely dystopian. Okay, the Prince of Persia Lost Crown DLC has been delayed only in a couple of countries, but the rest of the countries are getting the DLC on September 25th, which is already available now. Due to last-minute issues with the Mask of Darkness, Prince of Persia Lost Crown is still not available on Nintendo Switch in certain countries. We know some of you are eagerly waiting to play Mask of Darkness on Nintendo Switch, and I apologize for the delay. The countries in question are New Zealand, Australia, and some countries in Europe. They did not go into specifics, I suppose. But that's too bad. But everyone else, you'll be able to play the DLC. The game was good. I mean, I enjoyed the game. I don't think it's going to be a top 10 contender at this point, but I thought the game was pretty fun for like a Metroidvania type take on the Prince of Persia genre, the Prince of Persia IP. So, there's that. Nintendo has also expanded its Switch Online library with a couple new SNES games. You'll be able to play Battletoads Double Dragon from 1993, Big Run, which is like a racing game, like a racing game in Africa from 1991 from the Super Famicom. Cosmo Gang The Puzzle from 1993, also released on the Super Famicom. And Kunio-kun no Dodgeball Dayo Zinin Shugo, which is a sports game released for Super Famicom in 1993 as well. All these games will be available. These games will be available. Why doesn't it say when they'll be available? I suppose they'll be available soon. So there you go. The Japanese version of this update did not include Battletoads or the Dodgeball game, but it did include Angelique from 1994. So there you go. Here are 10 games leaving PlayStation Plus Extra Tier. These games will leave soon, I suppose. So we got Dragon Quest Builders, Dragon Quest Builders 2, Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, Dragon Quest XI-S, Echoes of an Elusive Age, Gotham Knights, Little Big Planet 3, The Evil Within, Tukiden Kiwami, and Ultra Street Fighter 4 are all leaving the service. Very surprising to see Little Big Planet 3 leaving. Maybe that means there's a remaster coming soon. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So make sure you play those games before the 15th of October. That's when they will be leaving. Also, Xbox. Here are some games leaving Xbox Game Pass. Gotham Knights, Let's Build a Zoo, Loop Hero, My Time at Portia, Paw Patrol Grand Prix, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, The Walking Dead Season 1, The Walking Dead Season 2, and Valheim are all leaving on September 30th, so make sure you check out those games before they leave that service. Let's go ahead and move on to what have I been playing this past week. Okay, I know this has been a long episode so far, so we'll try and get through this stuff as fast as I can. I apologize. So first up on the chopping block is Space Marine 2, or Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I kind of waited to pick this one up, but Greedy Waffles wanted to play with me, so I said, yeah, why not? I mean, I wanted the game, so it's not like I'm begrudgingly picking it up or anything like that. The game's good so far. It had some trouble with on the PC with controller support when it first came out, or at least when I first played it. So I had to use the mouse and keyboard controls, and those controls were not intuitive, but the controller controls are much better. Having more fun with it now that the controller is in my hands and I'm playing, because the keyboard controls are just weird. It's a middle mouse button to aim, and it's like there's a whole bunch of weird configurations for the keyboard. I know you can rebind things if you want to, but now the controller support's available, I don't need to worry about that. The game is exactly how you've heard it is. It's a like horde-based kind of game where you just fight tons and tons of xenomorph-type enemies who have a couple different variants. There's like there's these little itty-bitty kind of guys who are like the rats from Plague Tale Innocence. So there's a little bit of inspiration there for that. There's like regular kind of enemies that look like the aliens from Alien or xenomorphs from Alien, which is very similar to that Aliens fire team game. And then there's like bigger enemies that you need to use like melee and stuff to kill more effectively. There's like a parry system in the game, so you parry their attacks and you take them out in the openings. But the game is it seems to be a mishmash of different inspirations. One of the main inspirations I feel like is World War Z. There are several moments in this game where I've been like, this is World War Z. This is literally World War Z. Not only with the amount of enemies on the screen, but also there's like these moments where they're like the regular enemies are like climbing on top of each other and starting to try and climb up a wall while being on top of each other, which is exactly like World War Z. It's not that hard to see the similarities between that. The game also seems to play a lot like it. Obviously it's a third-person shooter, but it does kind of play a little bit like World War Z, very loosey-goosey with the shooting mechanics. The melee combat is a breath of fresh air. It does feel pretty good. It's got a parry system, combo system. There's obviously an execution system as well, so that's pretty unique. But the little rat things from Plague Tale and World War Z-esque enemies, and the kind of like the Gears of War aesthetic with the game as well, does make me wonder, like, are you maybe wearing these inspirations a little bit too close to your chest? I meant to look this up before I started playing. I don't know if this is the same developer as World War Z. It would make a lot of sense because the enemies do move a lot like zombies from that game. But so far, I'm enjoying the game. I don't have too many complaints now that I'm able to use controller and blah, 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 blah. I guess the one thing I would say is that the levels are very long. I feel like the last level we played was like 2 hours long. It was kind of crazy how long it was. It was just a very long level, and it kind of just kept going and going and going. You think it's like over, and then like the game is like, nope, but wait, there's more. Just a very interesting level design there. But it's been fine so far. So I'll be playing more of that. I've also been playing the Plucky Squire. And I'm enjoying it. I want to get that finished here within the next week or so, just to move to get it out of the way for other things coming out. But I think that the game is, obviously it's geared towards like kids. So far, the game has just been piss easy. Enemies take like 3 hits to kill. The puzzles are not that difficult. I've solved them in less than a minute. I do like the idea of swapping out words and making things transform based on what word you put there. So, there's like a block and you can change it into a metal block or a cheese block or a glowing block. There's so much you can do with that, and I do like it. And when it's using those things to its full capacity, that's where I really enjoy the experience. But when the game is just like, walk through this area, kill some enemies, do some simple puzzle solving, that's where it kind of drags its feet. And the game does pick up again when you get out of the book and you're doing things outside of the book. You're going to different worlds and you're exploring this like room of this kid who really enjoys your book, and he goes through some phases. Like there's a sci-fi phase that I'm going through, or I went through recently. It's that meme of like Woody being dropped and Andy saying, "I don't want to play with you anymore." Kind of feels like that, except I guess it didn't happen. I think the game is good for what it's worth. I don't think it's going to be on like a top 10 list at the end of the year for me personally. Like, even though it's enjoyable, I feel like it's just a little bit too easy. It's a little bit long-winded with some of the conversations you have in the game. I do really like the art style and the aesthetic of the game. I think it plays pretty good, but I guess I was just looking for a little bit more out of this game in totality. And right now I'm a bit more than halfway through, so maybe the second half of the game will really, really surprise me. But we'll see how it goes. I also played a game called Ara History Untold. This is the game that is very much based off of like a Civilization, or there's like the Europa, or Europe. What are they called? Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's very closely related to Civilization 5, and I thought that I was going to really enjoy this game because of that. But I ended up just longing to play Civilization 5. Like, even though Ara has some good stuff in it, like I enjoyed some of the new stuff that they added in there and some of the ideas that they had for the game. In general, I just wasn't really into it, and it's unfortunate because the base idea of the game is good, and I think it works pretty well. And I'm not going to say that it's not worth your time if you're a fan of like RTS strategy games like Civilization. It definitely is a bit of a different take on that. But as a whole, I wasn't really into the various systems that they had in place. The game I didn't feel like it was running too well either. It was a little bit, I was having some lag spikes here and there. And the game didn't look too great either. And I had it on ultra settings, so what can you do? Like I said, the ideas were there, and I finished a run of with George Washington. I finished a game, but I just didn't feel the need to go back and play. Like Civilization 5, it pulls you back in, that one more turn mantra. This game, I felt bored, and by the end of it, I just was not ready. Well, I just not wanting to play another round of the game. So it's unfortunate, but at least it was on Xbox Game Pass, so I didn't have to pay any extra money to play it. Another game I played this past week was Parking Garage Rally Circuit, which appeared on my Steam recommendations because I played a similar game to this called like Hot Shot Racing or something like that. It was like a similar aesthetic where it's like a polygonal type thing. This one is definitely more Dreamcast vibe, which as I said before, I'm kind of a sucker for that. Like, even though I never had a Dreamcast, I think the Dreamcast aesthetic is like super nice, and I love how colorful and wonderful it looks. So it kind of pulled me in there, but the game really started to pull me in with its drifting mechanics. Obviously, this is a game where you are driving around parking garages on a racetrack, essentially, and you're going through checkpoints. And there's 3 different classes of cars to use. There's like a normal, basic class, there's a heavy class, and there's a super fast class. And there was one level in particular I didn't feel like was designed very well for the faster vehicles, but everything else was very much like learning the course, learning when to drift, learning when to boost, etc. And I just really got into a groove with this game. I 100%ed the game, which tells you how much I was enjoying it. I made sure to get gold on every single race, and I did all the various other random things they want you to do, and I really had a blast with this. I really did. It's only like $15 to $20 or something like that. I feel like you really get your money's worth out of this game. There's a multiplayer mode, which is kind of dead, let's be honest, but could be kind of fun to race against other people, see how they do their courses and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a really cool, fun experience. I love the idea of drifting and racing around inside of a parking garage. There's some famous parking garages that you go to. There's also other ones that are just like aesthetics. Like there's the Minnesota aesthetic where you're in like a snowy area and there's snow plows and stuff like that. Then there's like the Chicago one, which is that very famous parking garages that's like a spiral, and there's like 2 of them right next to each other, and you're drifting around the spiral, then you jump over to the other one, you drift around that spiral, then you jump over. it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. There was only one level that I didn't like, which was Ellis Island, which is the Statue of Liberty level. I felt like that one, I just wasn't really feeling that one. But the rest of the race tracks were very fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Definitely a thumbs up from me. I liked it a lot. And you know me, racing games, a lot of times I'll be like, yeah, they're fun, but I'm not like super in love with a racing game, but this one was just the right amount of time played, just the right amount of skill needed, very fast, very cool, fun music, and I love the graphics, so there you go. Another game I played was a free-to-play game called Gorble. This was featured in an Iron Pineapple video. It's essentially a Souls-like, or a bite-sized Souls-like. It was made during a game jam, so it's like 20 minutes long maximum. But essentially, you play as like a marble that you charge and roll, and that's literally the entire thing. Is you charge and roll into things, and it really reminded me of a marble game I used to play on like Windows XP back in the day. I don't remember the name of it right now, but I played it a lot. It was like a marble game where you rolled a marble around a track and you tried to get to the end. And this one, it's obviously not the same, but it just reminded me of that. But essentially, you go through like this castle, you take out guards. There's a little bit of enemy variety in there. Some guards have shields. Some guards have energy I'm sorry, not energy weapons, bows and arrows or whatever. Magic. They have magic. Some guards have a shield and they have magic. Some guards are just regular guards standing around and they do whatever. They're all marbles, of course. And then it all culminates in a boss battle that I thought was pretty fun. There was like a weak point on a big spiked marble that you charged and hit. So that was pretty cool. There was also a couple of hidden things throughout the world too, little boosts for health and stuff like that. I found them all best as I could. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun time. It's free to play, so go on to Steam, try it out. Like I said, it's only like a 20-minute type game, maybe even 10 minutes, honestly. It's not that long at all, but it was pretty fun. It was pretty enjoyable, and I would love to see them expand on this and just go all out with the concept. I feel like that would be kind of fun. Also, I finished What the Car this past week. My thoughts really haven't changed. It's good, but it's a bit disappointing. I felt like the concept just wasn't there. There was a couple of things that were kind of cool, but they didn't expand on it. They didn't do anything with it. Like What the Golf, they had whole areas designed around specific things about the golf ball, and this one you're doing like a Super Meat Boy thing. This one you're doing like a Portal thing. This one you're doing blah blah blah. This game really didn't have that. You essentially had like 6 levels per world, and each one was relatively the same. So car with arms was the same as there was like 3 levels car with arms, and then they would maybe change a little bit. I was disappointed by this for sure. I mean, I went into this with a pretty high expectations, hoping that it was going to be a gem this year, but it turned out to just kind of be a bit disappointing. So I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. A bit disappointing. And then finally, I played on my own time 1000X Resist, which I talked about a little bit in the last episode, but I did finish it, and I was really hoping that I would like it more than I did. I'm not going to blame anyone for boosting my expectations, but I was hoping for this game to really capture me and enamor me, and I ended up kind of being more annoyed with the game than liking the game, because when things started to roll with the story, when it started to kind of get really interesting and things were actually happening, and it would just do something very predictable, and then it would just 180 change what was going on. And I don't mind like the different gameplay styles sprinkled throughout here. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the story itself. The story was just very predictable at times. It did not. The twists and turns just were not there, and it just started to annoy me, because anytime I thought they were going to do something different than what I thought they were going to do, they just did what I thought they were going to do. Case in point, very early on, one of the characters dies, essentially. And I'm like, what? I mean, you're supposed to think that they actually died. And I was like, no, I don't think they're dead. They're definitely coming back. And what do you know? A bit more than halfway through the game, oh, they're back. who could have guessed that they were going to bring this specific character back? And there was also other, like, there was another thing that I hate about games that lots of games do, and sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. This game, it was not effective. The first like part of the cutscene in the game, or whatever you want to call it, was a flash forward to your character that you play as, killing an important character in the story, and they didn't twist anything, they didn't change anything. It happens exactly the way that it happens in that cutscene. And I'm just like, oh my God, the first like half of this game is meaningless because you know where it's going. It didn't capture me at all, mostly for that reason in the first half, is because everything leading up to that, you know what it's leading up to. And it's so annoying because the character that you're playing as is like so pro that character that you kill for really most of that story. And then all of a sudden like a switch flips and I'm against this character now. I because we have to get to this point in the story, you know, we've already showed you the story beat, so we got to get to that point. So this character needs to hate the character now, needs to want to kill the character now. I was just like, I was kind of over it by that point, and it does turn back around and it does get back to being interesting. But then again, you know, everything that I thought was going to happen just ended up happening the way that I thought was going to happen. There was really no curveballs that really hooked me, you know. And there's a couple like puzzle elements in the game. There was one section that I really enjoyed where you were trying to talk to this alien creature that came to the world and pretty much destroyed the world essentially. But you're communicating with it and you're using the thing like these clues to figure out this puzzle. I thought that was pretty cool. There's other puzzles where you're like boosting between jump points. I was just kind of like, you know, it's not really that interesting. The other thing that really annoyed me about this game was the character models themselves were expressionless. Even if they were yelling or they're like the voice acting was really good, but the character models were not expressing that emotion. So a character was mad, they would just look like this, stone faced. I was like, oh, you're taking me out of this here. I know it's an indie team, I get that, but we gotta do something here to sell the line delivery, because the voice acting is really good, and like most of the visuals are also really good and interesting too. Like besides from the facial animations, like a lot of the visuals are nice, and there's a nice aesthetic there with like the different like very striking colors. There's like a blue or purplish. There's a there's a green. There's an orange and like a pink that are very vibrant colors across like a more washed out background. And I felt like those things looked really good. The music was also pretty strong in this game too. I think the music was very nice, and there were some story beats that I thought were good, but like once again, it just kind of went the direction that I thought it was going to go. So the twists and the curveballs just weren't really there for me. But there was a couple story beats that I was like, okay, you know, that works. You know, that kind of works. There was also like a hub world that you went around every so often, and I thought that was just designed so poorly. I'm sorry. The mini map didn't help me at all. Obviously, you're supposed to learn where you need to go by just adventuring around and talking to people, but I was just not into this hub world map at all. It was just so confusing. And there was another hub world that you go to later on. I guess not really hub world, but it's a world that you can kind of like run around. It's like a bunch of buildings. And I didn't know where to go. And it was after like a major story beat, and your character walks super slow. And I didn't know where to go. I was like walking I was like slowly walking through all these different places. I didn't know where to go, and I finally found where I needed to go, and it was literally like you had to go like straight and to the left or something like that, or maybe you had to go left and then to the right and then straight. And I was so pissed. I was ready to put down the game at that point, because I had walked slow as fuck around this entire area trying to find who I needed to talk to specifically. Just to realize, oh, they were hidden behind this corner. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to know to go there? Like, it was so annoying. That's probably the reason why I deducted like a half point from the game, was from that lone section. But that being said, I know I've said a lot of critical things here. I think for the most part, I mean, the story is fine. It just doesn't go anywhere super interesting with it. The character models are fine. They just need to be more emotional. The graphics themselves are nice. There's some nice gameplay twists in there. The music was good. and the voice acting was fantastic. So in the end, I didn't feel like it was like a 3. I thought it was a 3.5, in the end. Even though I have some major criticisms about the game, I know it sounds like I totally hated it. I didn't hate the experience. There was one part that I hated, but it was probably my own fault, let's be honest. But, I thought that, it was better than average, but it wasn't anything super special that I would put into like the higher than a 4, so that's that. My apologies to the developers, but it just didn't hit with me personally. Some games that I played on stream. Well, actually, no. I have one more game to talk about. TimeSplitters 2. Oh my god, I almost forgot to talk about this. I played the PS5 version. It plays beautifully. It has a rewind feature and a save state feature, which really helps with the longer levels that have only a couple of checkpoints here or there. So I would definitely recommend using those if you're a person who thinks that they're going to die. The normal mode for the levels are nice, but I hope me. I play on hard on TimeSplitters 2. I love this game so much. This new version of the game plays well. It's emulated quite well. They added trophy support for the game, and I got the platinum trophy on it. I was very satisfied with that. You just got to go through the challenge mode and the arcade mode, which is fun in their own rights. There's so much content in this game. TimeSplitters 2 is just just a pure joy to play through, and I ended up giving it a 4.5, which is actually a 0.5 higher than I gave the original game, and that's because they added in like the rewind feature and the save state feature, which made some of those more brutal challenges that you have to do a lot easier to be able to kind of, I went the wrong way, need to rewind a couple seconds, go the right way, or, I died here, I didn't mean to die there, let me rewind a second, get the kill, and then, keep going. And I know it's kind of scummy, I get it, but they give you the option in the game, and I'm going to use that option, so hate me later. But I really enjoy TimeSplitters 2. I think it's a gem. It's a bit rough around the edges, which is why it's not a 5 out of 5. Like the aiming for the guns is a little bit wonky because it is a fairly early first-person shooter. I really love this game. It's a chef's kiss. We finished on stream Life is Strange this past week, and I've been up and down on this game throughout my life. My more recent playthrough before this one, which was like 2014 or 15. I went through it and I was like, it's kind of cringy here and there. The story, whatever. This time around, I'm kind of more so in the middle, maybe more so towards the positive side with Life is Strange. I think the story is written very well, but there are still cringe moments in the story for sure. I think the opportunity for choice in the game is a bit limited in all things considered. Like, even though there are things that you can really mess up, or I guess not really mess up, but do and affect things in the long run. But in the long run, it doesn't really affect anything. Like the end of the game is still going to be the end of the game no matter what. And that's a problem with a lot of those Telltale type games where, you have this choice and then you make that choice, and then in the next episode or in the next scene, it just doesn't really matter in the end. But there are there's a few storylines that actually do get affected by what you do, of course. But for the most part, it's still a pretty linear story, all things considered. But for what it's worth, I think it's written pretty well. I don't mind the aesthetic of the game with like the kind of like pastel watercolor kind of look to it that it has sometimes. I really enjoy Max and Chloe as two characters working together. I think that they work so well, which is why I'm excited for the next game in the Life is Strange series, which is Double Exposure, because Max comes back. And I don't know what they're going to do with that, if they're going to give you a choice of like, what did you do at the end of Life is Strange 1, or if they're even going to worry about that at all. I don't know. I think Max and Chloe are two very strong characters. I think they're written very well. Everyone else in the game is just kind of like, okay, well, ho-hum, They also put a lot of red herrings in the game, which is fine, but it's also a bit annoying because like the person who actually is the bad person, like you never would have guessed in a million years that they were the bad person unless you already played through the game. So it's one of those things that's like, I think they should have put a few more hints here and there, a bit more obvious hints, maybe not obvious, but hints that if you do explore, you do, get a few more hints towards who it is actually. So in the end, I gave it a B tier. I think it's good. This is probably gonna be my final playthrough of Life is Strange ever at this point. I played through it like 4 or 5 times at this point, and I don't feel like I need to play through it again. But I'm gonna leave it there with that. I thought that the game was was good at least. So there you go. All right. I know this has been a long one, folks. I'd appreciate you sticking around. Let's go ahead and do What's That Song for this episode. Now, last time's episode, I did put a hint in the visual version of the podcast, so maybe I'll do that again. Wink, wink. I don't know. We'll see. Let's listen to what today's song is right now. Okay, if you know the name of the song and the game that it came from, either go to the Discord, link down in the description, and type it into the Ferret64 chat, or you can just comment on the episode of Ferret64 right here on YouTube with the name of the game and the song name. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. I really do appreciate that. If you want to check out anything else I do, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, etc. I also run a podcast called Film Freaks with a Z. The most recent episode is about the Blair Witch Project from 1999. The next episode is going to be about Resident Evil, the movie, the original movie. So if you want to check that out, that'll be available next weekend. I also opened up a new channel, which I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this, but I'm quickly recapping some football games from the NFL slate. So that's called Ferret Football. If you want to check out that YouTube channel, maybe subscribe to that if you want to. I would appreciate that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. The Halloween streams are starting on the channel this Saturday, or Saturday, as I'm talking, as this podcast is probably going to upload a day later, but we're in the Halloween spirit here. So if you want to check that out, we're also running a contest in the Discord, Halloween Bingo, Halloween Bingo. Once again, I do this every year. $10 horror game at the end of the year, end of the month. To the winner for that. And then don't forget that November is Bunger month. So we're gearing up for a bunch of stuff here at the end of the year here. So make sure you check that out. Streaming on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. All right, thank you so much for listening. I'm Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm out of here. So long. The Ferret64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Small sound clips used throughout the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The song in the intro and outro is Nightshade by Adhesive Wombat. The Ferret64 logo was made by Player2P2. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions, video game related, are my own. Thank you for listening.